Hey folks, this is Vince the Evil DM, the Evil Dungeon Master, back here with another episode of the Evil Dungeon Master podcast, which will soon be doing something else. But for now, want to do a quick update again. Yesterday I had talked about my future plans for this space here in Anchor or Spotify now. I'm going to probably just turn this into a review and talk about things podcast, which I was supposed to be done originally, but I kind of fell off of doing podcasting because I got more involved with YouTube and forgot where the roots came from. And it's more fun, in my opinion, or a lot more fun, in my opinion, to just do radio podcasts, even though people say podcasts are pretty much dead. I don't think they're dead at all. And I think they're still just as valid because Spotify wouldn't have purchased Anchor FM if they didn't think there'd be something interesting in podcasting land. But hey, who am I to tell? So this weekend, well, yesterday, because it's Friday, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I believe it's called, opened up. And I'm really excited actually about seeing that because I've been a really big Ghostbusters fan all my life. Love the role playing games. Did an actual play about it on my website. It was a lot of fun. We only did 6 or 7 episodes because the group was having a hard time really getting into it, and one of the players actually was screwing around with the rest of the group, so it made it a little bit unfun for them. And they all geared their characters towards muscle, which is one of the stats, and not towards anything brains wise. And only one guy was doing brains. And well, I like to run stories that are a little bit involved with a story as opposed to just fight, 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 because I find that boring, boring, boring. I like interaction. I like role play. I would say my games are 25% fighting, 75% mystery, intrigue, and role playing because I like that a little bit better. But anyway, they didn't want to continue with the episodes because they didn't like the whole conspiracy part of it, and it turned more into more like Men in Black. And I guess they really weren't into that. So half the players were, I'll say that. The other half wasn't. So we kind of stopped doing that, which was I thought was a lot of fun, and people thought we were having fun, but I guess overall we really didn't want to play. But anyway, been a Ghostbusters fan all my life. Saw the movies in the movie theater. One of my best friend in high school, Scott, actually had gotten the Ghostbusters tattoo tattooed on his shoulder as just for the hell of it because he could. It actually looked kind of cool. I never went and got it because I was always too scared to get a tattoo because I'm a big wimp. But who knows? Maybe I'll do that one day in honor of him because he was my friend and I never did do it and he kept calling me a big wimp. So, he passed away, unfortunately. I don't know, maybe 5 to 6 years ago. So, rest in peace, Scotty. Missed your buddy. But on another note, my campaign is still going on. You can still listen to it at rollhighordie.com. It's the Palladium Fantasy podcast. We call it Beyond Earth's podcast. It's on season 3. The first season was Dead Rain, which was Palladium, which is the zombie apocalypse. And the second season was Heroes Unlimited Basic Revived, which we had a lot of fun doing. And now we're doing Palladium Fantasy 1E, which is kind of like a mix of AD&D and AD&D 2E with crack. That's how I was introduced to it when I was younger. And I remember when AD&D went to AD&D 2 and they started changing things because back then we didn't know, but now it was to get away from Gygax at TSR and they wanted to redo everything so he wasn't on it anymore. But anyway, I was a little bit annoyed about some of the changes, and my friend's like, well, here, dude, come over to my house this weekend. We're going to be playing Palladium Fantasy. I'm like, well, what's that? He goes, well, I think it's just like playing AD&D, but on crack. And I was like, what? He said, yeah, trust me, it's a lot of fun. So I went over and I started playing that, and I loved the hell out of it. Like the fact that you can defend yourself and roll out of the way and dodge and everything like that and parry. And it has a bunch of skills and everything like that. And the lore itself is really good with Palladium Fantasy. And it really has that feel of old Dungeons and Dragons to it, because it was basically devised off of Dungeons and Dragons. So it was Kevin Zembedia's house rules of Dungeons and Dragons that morphed into its own system pretty much. And I played it today. I like 1E better than 2E. Some people are like, no, 2E is the best. No. Palladium 2E stuff or the revised stuff that now matches up with Rifts just feels like everything is Rifts but a supplement for it. So I enjoy playing Palladium Fantasy 1E because it feels like its own thing, its own world. Anyway, I not rebooted, but like soft rebooted the campaign and had them fall victim to a ley line, and they walked into it, and it morphed them into a morph. It sent them to another world, another completely new world where there are monstrous dinosaurs everywhere at night and giant creatures roaming the forest. Each area worships their own individual god or goddess, and they all fight over which one is the true god of the realm. One area has the great Celetonia goddess, which she's kind of like a plant life goddess, but she's actually, from what they've seen, not so good. And there's some really weird things going on with the religion. Then they went to another town where they explored, and they found out one of them was worshiping pretty much the equivalent of a Cthulhu monster, or Cthulhu, old one, with tentacles and everything, and that's how they were worshiping that there. Then they finally found another village where they did not have religion. They did not believe in religion, so they were all so suspicious of it that it was actually a nice little town, but they haven't found anything wrong about it, so they're still suspicious. So their whole goal now is to research some information about ley lines and figure out a way to get back home. They had found a book in one of the libraries in one of the smaller towns talking about ley lines, and they had to go various places around the world and collect pieces and do a certain ceremony on the summer solstice moon. And once they did on the summer solstice moon, they were able to open up a portal and head back to their time. But there were a lot of sacrifices involved, such as going to a certain temple and finding something, sacrificing blood to the point that someone would die, so they have a moral dilemma. Do they want to sacrifice somebody? Do they not want to sacrifice somebody? It's kind of an interesting campaign. They were a little bit weirded out at first because I pulled them out of the other campaign into this one because the other one just wasn't working too well and it was kind of boring. So I wanted to switch it up, make it a little more dangerous for them for being level 5. We'll be up to episode 80 something now. They're almost level 5 everything, and that's pretty good because it takes a long time to level up in Palladium Fantasy, or any Palladium for that matter, because they all Palladium puts more value into talking things about maneuvering around, figuring ways to use skills as opposed to just flat out fighting. You get more experience for roleplay, talking, using skills, and figuring a way around the situation than actually fighting. You get experience for fighting, of course, but the way Kevin designed the game, he wanted to put more emphasis on thinking than just using your weapon and getting at it and bashing everything, which I like. So, and my players do a lot of role playing, and they have a lot of fun with it, and I give them a lot of experience for role playing. So they're level 5. Most of them are level 5. And that's a lot of experience to get, and they are happy with the progression. This is a game that we took a tiny break from so we can play Blackstar, which was an awful game. I could not stand that game. It was basically Star Wars with the serial numbers filed off, and it was player facing, so the players did all the rolling, and the GM could basically do nothing except throw bad guys at them and make decisions. And I hate that stuff. As a GM, I like to roll just as much as a player likes to roll. So I had to modify it so that I could roll in the game, but I didn't really. Overall, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like the game at all. Basically, we should, like the players said to me towards the end, we did it for a couple episodes for Roll High or Die. You can catch them on the site. They said at the end, next time if we're going to play something Star Wars, let's just play Star Wars. And I said that from the beginning. but you guys voted for this. I gave them a choice of like 10 different games, and Black Star was the one that actually won by one vote. I think the other next highest game was Starship Troopers. Actually, they were gonna vote for. So I was kind of hoping for Starship Troopers or something along those lines. We had things like Exalted in there, um, Star Wars itself, D6 Star Wars, but they didn't want to play D6 Star Wars again, even though at the end they were like, well, next time we're just gonna play Star Wars. But we had DC Heroes in there. We had another form of Dungeons and Dragons in there. I think it was third edition Dungeons and Dragons. And we had White Wolf in there for Vampire the Masquerade, and there was some other. I had a whole bunch of games. I don't remember exactly what they all were, but they picked Black Star won what like 3 votes to. I think it was 3 votes or 4 votes to 3 or something along those lines that they actually got Black Star. And I go with what the players want to play. And then after we were done with the Black Star, I'm like, well, what do you want to go to? We can go like to a D6 game like Men in Black, Starship Troopers, Dragon Star, um, Star Wars, but they all picked, well, we go back to fantasy. We miss fantasy. Not a problem. Been running that ever since and been enjoying the campaign. Well, I'm going to head out. Hopefully, you've enjoyed my little talk about this. I'm still unsure what I really want to do going forward. I really would like to talk about comics. Comics is something that I do. I read a lot of them because I have a lot of downtime sometimes. And making videos on YouTube, well, it's not that fun sometimes, and I just enjoy the actual plays that I'm doing. So, and everything I do, has to be watched. So, because that's how the world rolls. But anyway, let me know if you have any ideas. Ask the DM at theevildm.com is my email address. And maybe we'll see some more updates coming in the future. Other than that, keep it original, keep it old school. God bless, and good night, everyone.